You're listening to Them Three, a podcast that inspires people to be themselves while living life on purpose with purpose.
We're the McCleskeys, two brothers.
And a sister.
Raised by the same parents, generations apart.
When getting spanked wasn't considered abuse.
It should have been.
And when riding the bus without seatbelts was fun. Join us as we inspire siblings like ourselves to have more effective communication within their own family units.
You be you.
And inspire others to do the same.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get this joint started. Okay. Welcome to Them Three Podcast. I am Stacy McCleskey.
Bill McCleskey here. Bill McCleskey in the building.
Yeah.
Tim Jr., the eldest.
The eldest.
The eldest.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing today on this wonderful Tuesday morning, the day after?
Well, can I just say, yesterday was MLK Day, and today is the day after MLK Day.
Thank you for reminding
me. All right.
I don't want to confuse anybody, okay? But I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. I actually feel refreshed. Last week my team, a group of my employees, conspired to come to me with a proposition, and they said, "Hey, we working from home on Monday," and I was like, "Is that a day off?" Because I couldn't remember. We have an employee handbook and it lists the days off, like Christmas, New Year's Eve, all that stuff, right? I said, "Is that a day off?" "Oh, no, it's not. It's not one of the days." I said, "Oh, well." And then they said, "Well, the office building is going to be closed because it's a federal holiday." And I was like, "Well, we got a key card, right?" I'm just trying to figure out, like, y'all can still get in the building, right? But anyway, I told everybody, I said, "Look, hey, let's work from home. We're going to jump on the phones throughout the day, do our huddle in the morning, do our thing, And it worked out well because I needed the rest myself. So I was able to just chill at the house, did some work in the morning, and I had a great day. I watched about 5 minutes of news, and that's all I had in me. But outside of that, y'all, I did watch something on Netflix called Crack. I don't know if y'all seen it.
Is that a cartoon? Isn't it a cartoon series?
It's not a cartoon. It's a documentary about crack cocaine being I'm serious. The epidemic of crack cocaine in the 90s or 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, and how the government profited off of the sale of crack cocaine to fund the Nicaraguan conflict, the Civil War down there, when Reagan was president. So, and how it really, you got to see it. But Crack on Netflix, check it out.
I don't mean to laugh. I literally thought it was a cartoon. I think there's a cartoon on Comedy Central. Is it Comedy Central, or it's the Adult Cartoon Network, or whatever it's called Crack. Yeah. It might be cracking or anything. All right, I have to check that out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. It's heavy, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, something that we all need to know about.
If you guys have seen the TV show on FX called I think it's Snowfall.
Yeah.
That's what that show is about. About how these drug dealers, they were flying cocaine in and making crack, and how it went. People just got addicted to it, and then how the laws, with just a small amount of crack, you would get mandatory sentences. But if you had 10 times that much cocaine, it wasn't even, it's crazy. And obviously people of color, that crack was being pumped into their neighborhood. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
If you see it, it's kind of eye-opening, even if you know about it. But
Netflix has some great, Netflix has some great documentaries. You can learn a lot in a day watching documentaries on Netflix.
Yeah. No doubt.
Absolutely. I had a pretty good day yesterday. I believe it or not, Bill, I had 10 clients.
Wow.
People were booked up. And it's interesting because when I set my calendar, I didn't consider, it's a holiday. I just had it open. And naturally, some people were off. And I was like, why is this day so stacked up? I was like, well, it's a holiday. But, one of the things I think, particularly about Martin Luther King holiday is, because of the work that he did, we have an opportunity to work. and so I look at, I need to be working because some people marched and died so I could work and do what I'm doing. Because I guarantee you, probably in 1950, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. So I want to take advantage of that and not just say, okay, I'm just not going to do anything. But I mean, to each his own. But I think it was a day that I did a lot of reading. Sometimes you wrestle with things. And so I had some scriptures that I was reading and just digging into some stuff and got better clarity from a spiritual standpoint. And then, of course, I talked to Deborah, my wife, about it. And just felt a lot better by the time I closed my eyes last night. So it was a good day, good, productive day.
Can I ask you a quick question? Are you in your old house or the new house?
Yeah, I was confused too. He brought that color from the old house to the new house.
The paint on the wall. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you in the kitchen area? The kitchen, dining room, living room, smash.
It was an open floor plan. It was an open floor plan.
I brought something with me.
Okay.
Actually, this is my office. It's calming in here to me. The color.
Okay.
Calming. So
the whole office. The whole office is that color. The walls are that color.
All four walls is this color. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. And what is that? Is that like
this color? The house, we actually painted the house. It's kind of like an ocean kind of blue.
Okay.
And then we have some accent walls, like a navy accent wall in the bedroom in another room. So when you guys come back out, you'll be able to see that. But no, I'm in a new house. And guess what? We got 6 eyes that work on the stove.
Instead of one.
Oh my goodness. Well, I can actually cook multiple things at one time.
Oh man.
It's amazing. It's the most amazing thing. And the toilet I flush once.
You don't have to jiggle the handle and open the back and pull up the
and
thing.
Then hold it down and then go back and flush it 2 or 3 more times.
My God.
Hey, moving on up.
Listen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stacy, what's up? How's your week been? Or your last 7 days, I should say.
I mean, they've been great. I've had a lot of time to clean my house. I mean, I'm constantly cleaning this house. And I think it's just, a friend of mine told me once that when you feel kind of unsteady in your life, you constantly clean your house. And I think I feel unsteady because of like work. My industry's been shut down since last year. And granted, last week I was fortunate enough to go back to a TV show called New Amsterdam on NBC and shoot.
What's the show called again?
It's called New Amsterdam. I know I rushed through that. New Amsterdam.
Okay.
It's on NBC. And I played Dr. Felicia Elder. And so I'm a reoccurring now on that show. So that was nice to go back to set and actually do some acting last week, which was a lot of fun. And it's interesting because with COVID, I had, I think, 3 COVID tests last week leading up to my 1 day of shooting. I went 2 days to set in Brooklyn and got a COVID test, negative, thank God. Then the next day, a rapid test. And then the day that I was shooting, I got there and they were like, okay, you got to do another test. And I didn't even know that. And it was a self-test. So they talked me through it. You fill out the paperwork and it's CVS. NBC is partnered with CVS. So on all their shows, they have people there set up. And I do the little swab. I wait in a room for 15 to 20 minutes. They tell me my results. And I'm so glad that they were negative so I could work. Yeah. And then the day begins. And it just felt so great to be back on set and to just act and to redevelop this character. Because I shot my first episode on that show in 2019. So it's been a whole year and some change. So that was wonderful. So that was a part of my last week. Ripping and running around with my dog Flower, who's laying beside me asleep right now. But I've been thinking about if I want to stay in America. This is a real thought that I've been having. And not so much for the rest of my life, but if I want to go somewhere else and live for a time. And there's so many other options. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, the entire world. And I think in this country, as I watch the events take place on the 6th of January, we're taught that America's the greatest country in the world. And it is a great country. It has a lot of amazing things here and about it. But there are other places that are just as good, if not better. And I was talking to a friend of mine who used to live in Amsterdam. We were talking about the healthcare system there. She's like, yeah, I was going to get my teeth fixed. And I said to the dentist, well, how much is this going to cost me? Because she was getting her gap closed and some other work done. And he was like, oh, it's going to be free. And she said, I'm sorry, what, free? And this was a few years ago. Then she had to go to another doctor to get something done. And they were like, oh yeah, it's free. It's a part of, you have your work visa, you know, it's free. It's a part of our healthcare plan.
Wow.
And I think if you are a mother, they pay mothers. They view being a mother as a job. So they pay the mother or the parent, then they pay you for each of your children. So you can, I think a close friend of hers that lived there, she was an artist, you know, like I am. And she had 2 kids, but the government paid her because they want your children to be taken care of.
So,
you know?
so is that welfare?
I think it's different.
Because they pay the mothers over here too for having kids.
They do, but it's not looked down upon. It's not looked at like, oh, okay, you're less than, you can't get a job, or you're single or whatever. It's looked at like, oh, you gave your body to provide, you know, more people, more citizens for our country so they can give back to the economy. And we actually we care about our citizens. You know, that's what I was getting from it. So I just been looking at Ghana, because Ghana has opened its borders to Black Americans who want to seek asylum if they don't feel safe here anymore. And it's not that I don't feel safe. I just think the world is so big and there's so much to learn from traveling, from living in different countries, among different cultures, and learning different languages and all that good stuff. So that's what my week has been. I also started the 75 Hard Challenge. Have y'all heard of that?
What is that?
So for 75 days, you drink a gallon of water a day. You read about 10 pages of any book a day. You work out twice a day. One workout is to be outside.
75 days in a row?
75 days in a row.
Wow.
And you...
when did you start that?
Last week.
Oh, you should have told me about that. I would have been like, let's go. What day you on?
Join up.
I'm gonna come in. Okay, I'm gonna come in on day 71. No, I was Dang. And so you work out twice a day and one day has to be outside?
One workout has to be outside for 45 minutes. Each workout is the minimum of 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And you pick a meal plan and you stick to it. It's not about, because people are like, oh, why do you want to lose weight? I'm like, it's not about that for me. I eat healthy. I drink a ton of water a day. I read every day, but it's about discipline. It's something I have to practice discipline on a daily basis because I struggle with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, that's real. I got to look into that. Is there like a Facebook group on it or something?
I don't know if there's a Facebook group, but if you just Google 75 Hard, so many things will come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woo-wee. Hey,
I know.
That's intense right there. Yeah, I went 1 week, maybe a month ago, and I was like, I'm gonna work out every day this week. And I tell you what, because I usually would work out 3 or 4 times a week. I'm like, yo, that is a trip. I mean, but you know, it's
dedication too, because when you're tired, like today, I'm tired. I'm just tired, but you say, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because my whole thing is you'll never know how great you can be if you don't push yourself.
That's right.
To the max, and then go, oh wow, I got the other side of this. Cool. Yeah, I can make it another day.
Have y'all ever heard of David Goggins?
I've heard that name.
Yeah.
He was a Navy SEAL. He was a Navy SEAL, but he's also an ultra marathon runner. So he runs like 100 miles and stuff. But after he was a Navy SEAL, by the way, to become a Navy SEAL, they go through something called Hell Week. He went through their Hell Week 3 times. I think he's the only Navy SEAL to have gone through their Hell Week 3 times.
Did he have to go through it, or he did it for fun?
No, the first time he was sick or had pneumonia or something, he had to stop. Second time he broke his leg, he had to stop. So the third time, he got through it. But after he became a Navy SEAL, he wanted to raise money for some of his comrades who got killed in a mission. and he was going to raise money for their families. And he was going to run this, 100-mile, 150-mile race in I think it was in California. But anyway, in order to qualify for the race, he had to run 100 miles in 24 hours. So he goes to run this 100-mile race within 24 hours. And he got to I think he said 70 miles. And his body just shut down. He had broken bones in his feet. His shin was, killing him. He said he was urinating blood. I mean, it's they were his girlfriend was with him at the time. She's like, we got to go to the hospital. He was like, nah, I need something to eat. Right. And so he started getting some liquids in him, and he started eating a little bit. He started feeling a little better. He said, I can stand up. And he actually finished 100 miles, right, within 24 hours. But he said he learned something from the Navy SEALs. And this, to your point, Stacy, what you just said, he said that his captain taught him that when you think you've hit a wall, when you think you've gone as far as you can absolutely go, you're only at 40%. You literally have 60% more capacity in you. Wow. And so he learned that when his body shut down, he was like, no, I got 60% more. You know what I'm saying? Whereas most people dude, you better get to the hospital. You about to die.
Right.
But he finished that race, and he's just a crazy dude. He actually lives in Middle Tennessee. He's in Franklin, Brentwood or Franklin, Tennessee. Okay. But no, that dude is wild. He's crazy.
Wow.
If you guys think about where we are in terms of our career and how we got to where we are right now. Sometimes I go back and I think about we hit a wall or we struggle somewhere, and we had to just make a decision to continue to push forward. Mm-hmm. Stacy, I'm not sure what your experiences were, but Bill, I remember your story about you at Comcast. You were eager about getting some kind of promotion or something. You thought you would just earn this promotion. You were the top sales guy, and you didn't get it. Mm-hmm. And so that pushed you in a different direction. But you moving in that different direction, I'm sure your mind was like, no, you got to stay where you come from. You got to stay right here. You got some guaranteed resources, the system, da. But it pushed you in a different direction. And the same thing happened with me working with an organization. Our team got bigger than the subsidiary I was working under. And the guy started hating on us, just, which is weird because he's making money off me. Mm-hmm. But he didn't like the idea that my group was getting bigger than him. So I had a decision to make to leave that group. And I only bring that up because sometimes we have to really, really get uncomfortable to become our best.
Yeah.
I think about, there's a book called 3 Feet from Gold. It's part of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Think and Grow Rich. So it's like a newer version. Mm-hmm. And one lady that was in it was Mary Kay Ash. Everybody knows who Mary Kay is, right?
Right.
But her story is similar to Billy's, where she, I think it was in the 50s or 60s. She was one of the top salespeople, but she was a woman. Mm-hmm. And so she thought she was going to get this top position in management, but they didn't give it to her. They gave it to somebody else who wasn't as qualified as she was. So she went ahead and retired. And she took her retirement, which was only $5,000, which is probably significant then. But she took her $5,000 and started what we know now as Mary Kay.
Wow.
And Mary Kay is all over the world now.
Right.
But it's almost as if she had to go through that. Mm-hmm. She had to feel that uncomfortable feeling first in order to start what we know as Mary Kay. And people have careers and jobs for life as a result of a choice she made.
Yeah.
Right.
So it really comes down to us making a decision, like this gentleman made. He made a decision and he stuck with it. And as a result, we're able to talk about it now. And some people are probably inspired to keep pushing forward in their own life as a result of what they see on him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's something to remember. I have to remember that. You have 60 more % in you.
Yeah. It's called the 40% rule.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually did a TGIF video about it. Probably a couple of them. But his video, David Goggins, if you just go to YouTube and check him out, he got a ton of videos. Okay. On YouTube. He cuss a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Interesting about speaking of cussing, I've been watching on Netflix the history of swear words and where they come from, the root of them. I think everyone should watch this because we're misinformed, about certain words. I mean, it goes through the gamut of cuss words. But on one of the episodes, they were talking about how sometimes when you're doing something physical and you feel like you can't get through, and you might be like, oh gosh, and you're pushing and you're like, darn. And they were saying, if you say a cuss word, you can get through it better and easier than you would if you wouldn't. And I was like, that's interesting. They did this experiment on there where they had people put their hands in ice cold water. And certain people were allowed to cuss and some people weren't allowed to cuss. And the people that weren't allowed to cuss, they could only hold it in there like for minutes. The people that were allowed to cuss, they were able to hold it in there for a long time. And I was like, that's interesting. And I would love to see like the scientific data on that. Because what is the brain doing? And they also said our brain, it's like in the middle of the brain, I forget where in the brain, where we house our cuss words. But check it out. History of swear words is very interesting.
I saw that documentary on Netflix. I thought that was an interesting title. I have to check it out. It out. What you drinking, Stacy?
Agua.
Okay. Woo. Oh, of course. 75 hard, right?
75 hard.
Woo-wee. Hey, so real quick, when you drink a gallon of water a day, how many times do you have to go urinate?
Every second. I always say I have the bladder of an 85-year-old man. I even if I don't drink a lot of water, I have to pee a lot. So I have to really time out when I drink my water.
Yeah.
I was doing a detox last year for 10 days and they recommended that you wake up at 6 a.m. and you drink half a gallon then. Because that way you're getting most of the water through your body and out.
Yeah.
If you want to try to drink your gallon. Now I've missed the mark today, but try to drink your gallon before 12 noon. Because that way you have the rest of your day. You're not constantly going back and forth to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Getting up at night.
But I had that experience when I would go to the gym early in the morning, 5:30, 6. I normally would drink a half a gallon at the gym, and I'm not really thinking about it because I'm sweating a lot of it out anyway because I'm working out. And then I end up drinking like 2 or 3 more bottles before 1 o'clock. But by 5 or 6, I don't have to go to the bathroom as much. But if I go to the gym at 1 or 2, oh my goodness, I'm going to the bathroom all the way up to 3, 4 in the morning. I mean, that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But it does.
So what are we going? Are we doing a podcast yet?
Yeah, we do it. We've been in it, brother. Where you been in it?
What are we gonna talk about today?
I wanted to talk to y'all about
what's the question of the day, of the week?
Of the week. Tomorrow we are gonna get to witness I have my TV on CNN on mute, but we're gonna get to witness Biden and Harris become the president and vice president. Which I think for a lot of people is going to be very exciting. There are, I think they said 25,000 National Guards in DC because of what happened on the 6th. So that'll be interesting. And I hope and pray that nothing crazy happens around the 51 states. But my question to you guys is, last year we dealt with COVID. We're still dealing with COVID. I think we're going to be dealing with COVID for a long time. We dealt with racism, the pimple being popped on racism truly and things really coming to a head. And then just not being able to see your loved ones as much, not people being out of work, people dying, and while we're all going to die, but just people dying from this virus. How do you guys deal with, mentally processing that, self-care, taking care of yourself? Because this is trauma. When you really break it down, this is trauma. So how do you, on a personal level, deal with it? You both have your own businesses. You're both authors. You both have kids. You're both married. There's a lot on your plate. How do you deal with that?
I have one kid.
Are you sure?
You
said that like I have one kid.
How many children you got? I just got one child. You know what I'm saying? But no, that's a good question. And I think it's an important question. Here lately, over the last 12 months, probably, I've been paying very close attention to my mental well-being. And I thought I had always done that. And I probably have more than most people, but I've just been really intentional about what I've been doing with my psychology, And one thing that I think is very important is to win the morning, to conquer your morning and be in control of your morning. And what most people do, I think, in the morning is you wake up and you go pick up your phone. You know, I think most people pick up their phone and they start scrolling. And I told an employee of mine the other day, I said, man, it's like Russian roulette, man. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know.
True.
You know, you may scroll something, you may see some bad news, you may see something funny, something may encourage you, but you just don't know. And the best thing to do is we should be in complete control of our morning, because if we win the morning, this is another thing David Goggins says, you learn from the Navy, you win the morning, you win the day, you know? And so I'm real big about having a morning routine, and my morning routine consists of 6 different things. It's actually an acronym. Have I ever shared this with y'all? SAVERS?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know about at a family holiday or whatever, but the acronym is SAVERS, SAVERS. And the first S stands for silence, so I'm silent. The A stands for affirmation. The V stands for visualization. The E stands for exercise. The R stands for read. And the last S stands for scribe, or write something. So I do those 6 things. Now I could take 1 minute for each thing, and it could just take me 6 minutes, or I could take 10 minutes for each thing, and it could take me an hour, you know, just depends on what time I wake up. Say it again.
Give those again.
Yeah, SAVERS. So S is for silent, A for affirmation, V for visualization, E for exercise, R, read, and S, scribe, which means I may write out, you know, some goals for the day, or I may write out 3 things I'm thankful for, do a gratitude exercise or something like that. But no, I do that and every morning, you know, and really sometimes I'll do it in the middle of the day. You know, I'll just take lunch or something, especially if I'm having a challenging day. I'll just relax and say, okay, now it's time for me to be still, you know, just be silent and go through that process. But I think it helps to center me, you know. I think it's really helpful to center me and get the right perspective on certain things, and to know who's really in control. And if we are intentional about our day, especially our morning, I think that will really help with our mental health, you know, going forward for most people, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not the best morning person. My wife is. But I have noticed when I would get up, and I haven't been able to do this since we moved, but I've noticed before we moved, I would go to the gym between like 5 and 6. And one of the things I enjoyed was being on the treadmill and literally watching the sunrise. That just, it did something to me. It helped me to appreciate, look at this gift I've been given from God. You know, I woke up, I'm working out, and I get to see what he created for today. And of course, normally during that time for me, I'm listening to, you know, people on YouTube, Miles Monroe, I'm listening to sermons, something to help me mentally and spiritually to get my day going. And by the time I come home, I am literally mentally ready to go. I'm ready to tackle anything. Now, what I can say is now here's what's interesting. When I do all of that, I tend to eat better, because who wants to mess up a workout? You know, after you worked out, you don't want to mess that up. I tend to respond a little differently. I have a little more patience throughout the day, because I've listened to something that's trying to help me to think more circumspectly about the choices I make. But yet when I don't do that, it's almost like a rush. Okay, what am I going to do today? What I got to do? Can I accomplish my goal? And then there's this feeling I sometimes get, like you're about to get a whooping, like, I ain't done nothing wrong. Well, what's wrong? Well, it's because you're putting this mental pressure on yourself unnecessarily, when if we have that discipline, like we talked about earlier, of just making a choice, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to do these different things. And I think for me, I know some people aren't morning folk, but at the end of the night, make a decision, and you can do those things at the end of the night before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
I think, Billy, you mentioned one time something about listening to your voice at the end of the night. You know, you could read some scriptures, you could read something, words of affirmation, record yourself, and just listen to your own voice at the end of the night.
You said
something
that one
positive and good. You said what?
I say he said that one time. I must have missed that. Listen to your own
And so when you really think about it, sometimes I would listen to myself when I'm giving speeches. And I'm like, wow, I said that, and you start feeling good. You know, you're like, wow, that was me. And it does something to you mentally and emotionally. And as you begin to rest, you can rest peacefully. Before you actually close your eyes. And then that, I think that sets a tone to how you sleep, what you dream about, how you wake up. So it's a cycle. It's something you do throughout the day.
What about you, Stacy? What are you doing?
Whew. I do a lot of things. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, my days they fluctuate. I mean, I am a very hyper person. And so I've had to, a lot of times my schedule's made for me, depending on what type of work I'm doing, right? But a few things I know that I want to do when I wake up. I want to pray. I want to meditate. I want to sit in silence. I want to say thank you. I want to write in my gratitude journal. And so I have a routine, but some days, you know, like you, Tim, I'm not a morning person. I was born in the evening. So I am definitely wide awake at night. The moon comes out, I'm up. And so I usually get up, I say thank you. And that's something I've been doing since I started the book, The Magic, which we talked about, I think, on the first episode. And I say thank you to everything in my room. I have a ton of plants above my bed. So I say thank you to those. I say thank you, you know, to my feet for touching the floors, just practicing that intentional gratitude. And then I'll pray, and then I'll meditate. And my meditations can consist of many things. It could be silence. It could be me reading something. It could be me saying some affirmations to myself. It could be me just being still. I have this app too that I love called Insight Timer. And there are a lot of great guided meditations on there that I might do. And then I have a Tibetan singing bowl that I'll hit a few times and kind of just still the energy. Because I'm so hyper, I have to find moments when I can calm my body down. And then usually I'll play music. There's one song I try to listen to every day. It was on the Black Panther soundtrack. It's called All the Stars. I think it's SZA and Kendrick Lamar. And it's just, it's not even like the lyrics. I do like the lyrics because I like Kendrick, but the beat behind it, it has this like rockin' feel that kind of gets you going through your day. But one thing I started last year, especially when COVID started to hit hard and we all started to realize what this was and what it was going to be. I live right across the street from a park called Fort Triumph Park, and I'm very grateful for it because I go to that park every single day, every morning. I take my dog and I walk for at least an hour and a half or so, just to be in nature, to talk to God, to sit with myself. And that usually calms me when I think about everything that's happening in the world. I don't watch the news a lot. I recently just started watching CNN a little bit more with the inauguration coming up, and just to be abreast of what's happening around me in my community and in the world. Because sometimes I do feel like if you don't know, things can shock you, but then sometimes I feel like if you don't know, it doesn't touch you. It's all about what you're inviting into your environment. It's like what you said, when you wake up in the morning and you scroll, you know, you don't know what you're inviting into your psyche, into your spirit, into your home. And those things can affect you. They can affect your day. I was working on the 6th. I was writing in my kitchen and my phone was blowing up. I was like, why is everybody texting me? And they were like, turn on the news. And as soon as I turned it on, it ruined my entire day completely. And of course I could have controlled that situation, but you have to be careful what you allow to penetrate your spirit. So that's a lot. One thing that I do a lot. I will say I have that routine, whether it shifts throughout the morning. But going into nature, I think, is important for mental health, for anyone. I also, I was going to therapy a lot last year too. I need to find a new therapist, but I think therapy is important. I think it's important sometimes to have a neutral party that you can just talk to about everything that's going on in your head or in your life. Because sometimes, a lot of times, you might not feel safe with people that are in your family or close friends. You just need someone who actually can give you advice on a different level. And I think therapy is very important. and it really helps with that. So yeah, and I drink a lot of water. Water's important.
Hey, I gotta tell you, I mean, you talk about not watching the news a lot, and I had this experience it's probably 10 years ago, and because I remember it was right before I worked at Comcast, and I had, how back in the day, the bootleg cable dude could hook you up with cable for like $40, and he would do something to the box. So anyway, he did that. Okay, I paid him like $40. He came out. It lasted for like 6 months. It went out. I said, man, it went out. He came back, and then it went out again. I was like, man, whatever. But it didn't go all the way out. I had like 4 channels, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever, man. I remember I was doing Soul Lounge at the time and losing money like crazy. And then my TV went down to 1 channel. I remember I had channel 2, ABC. And then ABC went out. I had no TV, right? So me and Miles, we used to watch DVDs. I would pop in the DVD just to have something going, on the TV. And this was before, y'all. I mean, I don't even think I was pulling up stuff on the phone. This is 10 years ago. So I didn't have an iPad, but I wasn't pulling stuff up on my phone to watch. I think I had a BlackBerry. I don't even think I had, So this was before like you could get the Netflix or, YouTube, and you could literally watch TV. But anyway, guys, I did not have TV for probably 2 months. And I noticed how it made me feel. I felt so almost like I had decluttered some stuff, right? Like I had gotten rid of some stuff, all because I had not been watching TV. I mean, it's crazy. It's weird to try to explain it, but I just felt like, I don't know. I got rid of some burdens or something. You know what I'm saying? Like something was on me, and I was like, I got rid of it, and I was like free. I could walk freely, and it was just weird. And then when I got the job at Comcast, we got free cable. So, you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, cable. But I just, to think about like our mental health, it's not just about playing offense, about what we actually do, but it's about, like you said, playing defense and about what we don't do, right? What we say no to intentionally. One of those things has been the news for me. I remember when 9/11 happened in 90, what was that, 99?
No, that was 2001.
2001. When that happened, I didn't watch the news, right? I remember going to the gym. When I left the gym, everybody was crowded around the TV up front. And I was like, man, these people love the news. Like in my head, I was like, I ain't even looking at it. Right. I got home, took a shower. One of my buddies called me and said, man, have you seen the news? And I was like, dude, I ain't watching the news. And he said, no, dude, it was literally probably 12 or 1 o'clock before I knew what happened. And that happened early that morning. So, but I think it's more about what we say no to as much as it is about, what we say yes to or do intentionally as regards to our mental health. So we gotta be careful.
I also think too, that applies to people that you keep in your life.
Absolutely.
I read a great book last year called Boundaries.
Yes.
And it helps you develop boundaries with anyone in your life. And it doesn't mean you don't love these people. It doesn't mean you don't want to be around them. But sometimes people can suck the life out of you without you even realizing it. Then you come back home and you're drained. And it's like, I just walked to the corner store. But 15 people called you a text, and people are dumping their stuff on you as well. I think, that definitely saying no to people. And I used to be a people pleaser, hardcore, because I don't like conflict. I don't like all that yelling and screaming and stuff. I love to love, but I wasn't protecting my magic. I wasn't protecting my light.
Protecting my magic. Ooh, I love how you said that. Ooh, I'm going to use it.
It's going to be on a t-shirt, on a mask.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's important to protect your magic, to protect. You remember that song where this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And sometimes you be letting it shine, and somebody will come over and blow your light out, and it's like, wait a minute, my matches ain't striking because you didn't let other people wet your matches.
Hey. Stacy, you are so right, and I think you said something that I think we got to address, is that it's okay to talk to a therapist. And I know in our community that's still considered a little taboo with certain people. But beyond that, you may not necessarily have to talk to a therapist, but talk to somebody who's going to be sensitive to what you're challenged with. One of the things that I look at, and I just think this is right, I look at a couple of Proverbs. Proverbs 12:15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. But that counsel doesn't always have to be a therapist. Maybe it's somebody that you can trust, somebody that's a mentor. You may think, okay, I don't know how to say no to people. That's all right. Say yes to the right people. If you just learn how to say yes to the right people, you won't have time for the wrong people, because you be spending so much time communicating with the right folk. Another one says, where no counsel is, the people fall. Now, we've heard this one, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So, I mean, there's wisdom in seeking counsel. And a lot of times I'll seek counsel 3-4 times a week from different people. And sometimes that counsel could be your mate. Sometimes that counsel could be, your best friend. Sometimes that counsel could be your parent. We think of counsel as in, I got to go pay somebody. No, you don't. What you're actually using is your time in the right way. So that's your payment, your time. But if you don't use it in the right way, you just gave away some time. You just wasted some time. And it did cost you. It may have cost you emotionally, physically, mentally. It may have cost you a job. It could have cost you so many things that you missed because you didn't take that time and use it the right way. So, we have to take advantage of wise counsel.
And I think too, no matter who you're talking to, make sure they're a right fit for you, whether it's a best friend, because sometimes, your best friend, you'd be like, now, wait a minute now. I know I just looked shocked a minute ago because it's snowing outside and I didn't know it was supposed to snow today.
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't know, this weather, man. But yeah, I think that you are absolutely right. You do not always have to pay somebody. I mean, I know Mom has definitely been a counselor for me at times. Y'all have been my best friend, Jackie. And I think it's important to talk to somebody and feel safe. That's the thing. Safety is key, because you cannot trust everybody. Some people will try to project their stuff, junk and things onto your situation. And then now you're carrying their load and confused about what you actually went to them for.
Well, that's why I like what you said, neutral, like somebody neutral. It depends on what the subject matter is too. But it's good to have somebody neutral. Like that old saying goes, don't take constructive criticism from people who ain't constructed nothing. You know what I mean? So you also want to look at where that person is. And I recognize this in business a lot too. If I want to do something, if I have a goal, I one of the first things I do is try to find somebody who's already done it, and sit down with them and say, hey, you did X, Y, Z. I want to do that. How'd you do it? And I may not take their advice. I may not take their path, but at least I get feedback from somebody who's actually done it, and I think that's the same as if I needed marital advice or advice on how to get in shape. I'm going to ask somebody who's at least done, what I want to do. But I want to play devil's advocate a little bit here. So, I saw, and we grew up in a household where our father was a preacher, still is a preacher, a minister, and Mom is an educator. and I love y'all watching these documentaries about marathon runners. I don't know. It's something about them. Okay.
You love those.
They really motivate me. Okay. But I told this story to somebody. I don't know. I may have told you, Stacy, maybe not. But there's this documentary out about, I think it's called 41st or something like that. I think that's the name of the documentary, 41st Day or 41st something. But it's about this marathon runner who never got a coach.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
a professional marathon runner. Mm-hmm. He never got a coach. And people kept telling him, man, you're on the professional level. You need a coach. He never got a coach. You know who he said his coach was? He said, my coach is God.
Oh,
you know? And usually, guys, when I watch these documentaries, I watch like the first 20 minutes and then I go to sleep. It's a good nap, okay? but this guy caught my attention in the first 5 minutes. He's like, you know, God, I seek God for feedback on everything I do, especially when I'm out running, how to train. God is going to tell me all this. And I was like, wow. And when he said that, I kind of set up and I watched this whole documentary. And all throughout the documentary, it's about him accomplishing his goals, you know, crushing his goals. This guy holds the United States record for the half marathon and the full marathon. Never had a coach. And he said, my coach is God. He calls it faith-based coaching. And he said what he does is he goes out to run and he may go walk in at first, walking meditation, and he'll seek God. He'll get in God's presence. He'll talk to God, you know, and he'll listen. He'll be silent. And he'll say, okay. He'll ask God a question. What should I do about this? What should I do about that? How should I train here? How should I? Hey, you got the national record, bro. What am I gonna say? You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really awesome for the sake of it being awesome. But the second reason I thought it was awesome is because I could really relate to that. Mm-hmm. Because I'm gonna tell you what I did when I first started my company, MyTech. I said, okay, God, I'm having a conversation. I said, God, you know what? I know a lot of these scriptures, you know what I'm saying? And you got scriptures in here that you just say, I can do all things through Christ, or, you know, when you pray, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. You know, Mark 11:24, all these great scriptures, right? I said, God, I'm going to apply all of these scriptures I learned growing up. And I'm going to see if you really got me. You know, if you don't, you don't. Okay. But I'm just going to go all out. And when I run into a brick wall, I'm going to seek you, God. You got to show me which way to go. And I promise you 100%. That's how I felt. I felt like God was my coach. I felt like God was my mentor, you know? So when he said that, I was like, man, that's what I've been telling people, you know? But I think that it is a biblical concept because Jesus told his disciples, when I leave you, the comforter will come. Okay. And he's going to give you all knowledge, and you'll know all things, and he's going to guide you and lead you. So, I mean, the Holy Spirit lives within us. Right. But I'm here to tell you, I agree with both perspectives, because what God does do is he uses other people for us. Right. And that's where we should seek counsel. You know, we're seeking counsel from other people, because people are right in our network or in our circle that can help us do what we want to do. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, that's real deep. I'm thinking about when I went through my divorce, when my first wife, I have a great friend that grew up 5 houses down the street from us that ultimately became an attorney. Mm-hmm. And this is the weirdest thing, how this come full circle. So I had an attorney that was kind of pitiful. He was pitiful. In fact, but this is, I'm gonna tell you how interesting this is.
I hope he's not watching.
I know, I'm like, you were trash, and I had to get rid of you.
Oh, Tim's got a podcast.
not calling any names.
Hey, just don't say his name. You know what I'm saying?
But what happened was, I was referred by this friend to somebody else, by this great friend to a different attorney. Now, what's interesting is he was my attorney, but my friend was like my spiritual attorney. Mm-hmm. Because I would get upset and be angry, you know, and divorce is like a death. I mean, you go through stuff, you go through all of those 7 stages of death. I mean, you go through it all. And so I'm angry and I'm wanting to lash out and send emails and say this and say that. And so my spiritual attorney said, no, say what you need to say. And only say that. If you need to say something else, send that email to me. This happened for like a year and a half, 2 years, almost to the month. When my divorce was final, we in our last hearing. Guess what came out in that hearing? All of those emails.
Wow.
And while I'm reading those emails, the judge actually stopped and just had a whole lot of things to say, but ultimately, in part, because I had that spiritual friend who just happened to be an attorney, didn't have to pay that person anything. They counseled me in the way I needed counsel, spiritually, through God's guidance, and me choosing. See, I had to choose to listen.
Yeah.
I chose to listen. That friend had to choose to listen to God because that person said, I noticed your countenance was different when I would see you at church. And I wanted to just ask, and I prayed first to ask God, well, what's going on? Should I say something? So everything had to align up according to his will. And ultimately, that's why right now, today, I have custody of my son.
Wow.
I mean, so yeah, I think we have to go through that counseling piece. It doesn't always have to be somebody we spend money on. If we are able to do that, do that. But make sure it's somebody that lines up, like you said, with what your principles are. But have those people in your network, close friends, family, whoever is going to help you to accomplish what you need to accomplish, and be sensitive to those needs.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think it's a great tool bag to have of all that. It is. A lot of people don't have that though, especially a lot of people in our community and in other communities, other, people of color. They just don't have that access, or they have people, like you said, Tim, that aren't aligning with their principles and aren't aligning with, what they need. And that can be scary. That can be scary at times because you feel alone, you feel trapped and whatnot.
Well, nowadays, I'm gonna be real. I mean, technology has really given us access to a lot of resources, good and bad, but I'm a big proponent of YouTube. And I'm telling you, if somebody, it's to the point where when somebody says something to me or they recommend I do something, I go to YouTube first. They recommend a book, I go to YouTube. They recommend a conference, I go to YouTube. A speaker, I go to YouTube, because the audio book may be on YouTube. 50% of the time it is, unless it's a brand new book, or that author is speaking on you. Several videos on YouTube. I can get, the mindset of that author. But if I was having trouble mentally with mental health, I bet I could go to YouTube, type in how to deal with mental health, how to deal with it from a Christian point of view, how to deal with it as a black woman. So I think that we have a lot of resources, not just YouTube, Google, whatever, to plug into. If we don't have somebody that we know personally, we can plug into some resources nowadays,
Yeah. I mean, on Spotify, I
Absolutely.
listen when
Podcast.
I listened to the Black Girl Therapy podcast with Dr. Joy on Spotify. Because I'm looking at Timon because I'm like, what is he saying up there? He's talking to somebody else. I think he's talking
okay.
But no, I think you're absolutely right. We have everything at our fingertips.
Yeah.
But I will say this, because some people will say, well, then there's no excuse. I'm like, there absolutely can be excuses, because everyone might not be in a space that you're in, or have access to certain things, or again, feel safe enough or know how to find that information.
Or know how. Yep.
And they have to be encouraged. They have to be encouraged, whether they're praying to God, whether they're practicing whatever other faith they practice in praying, or whether they're talking to a friend or whatnot, But you are absolutely right about that. It is at your fingertips.
Yeah. And be wise. Just be wise. Think about, don't throw up all your information on people. Ooh, sometimes what we want to do is, we are emotional creatures, and the first thing we want to do is like, let me tell you, and we throw up all of this information, sometimes to the wrong person, because we're looking for confirmation of our own emotion and how we feel. We might not be looking for what's right. We just looking for somebody to agree with us. So you got to be careful with that, and you got to be wise, because if you really want a solution,
Yeah.
Sometimes those solutions are going to come in a way that they're not going to tell you what you want to hear. And you got to be in the process of receiving the help that people are giving.
Yeah. I've been having this internal thought for a few months, and it's an internal conversation with me and God. And it goes like this. What do you have for me? Well, if I showed you what I have for you, it would scare the living daylights out of you. You know what I mean? It's like, so, and my whole journey is to grow, to become the person that wouldn't be scared if you showed me, you know what I mean? Just having that total faith, having 100% faith. But I think that we really have to just be in a position to always become better, constant and never ending improvement. That's one of my values, always becoming a better person, becoming the best version of myself. And that means being, like Mike Tyson said, having a plan, but getting hit in the mouth. You didn't have a plan for getting hit in the mouth, right? So be ready for what somebody may tell you, or the feedback you may see, or the truth that may reveal itself. We have to be ready for that, because that's what's going to help us grow. That's what's going to help us become better. We all have had experiences, adverse experiences, that made us better or opened other doors for us. So we know that if it happens in the present, then that's to open another door or to make us develop those traits that we need to have. So it's really key.
Exactly right.
That's exactly right.
And
man,
sometimes
go ahead, Tim.
Well, sometimes we got to embrace, I think, the challenges. I'm just thinking about Joseph. In the end, after everything Joseph went through, he said, well, that's okay, because what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And if we go back and think in our lives, well, what has happened in my life that was bad? And for me, all of those things has taught me how to become better, more patient, more understanding of people who are different than me, appreciating God's grace and mercy, knowing where my life could be. And so after bringing me through those things, I'm able to look at people differently and appreciate things differently and recognize where all my help really does come from.
Hey,
that's beautiful.
Can I just say something about that real quick? Joseph, I'm trying to figure out why I'm laughing. Okay. Joseph said, what you meant for bad, God meant for good, referring to his brothers who sold him into slavery and all that good stuff. He ends up being second in command in Egypt. What you meant for bad, God meant for good. And a lot of times we take that story and we relate it to our lives. What people did to us and they meant for bad, God turns it into good, which is very true. I've seen it happen in my life, right? But I also think that it also means what we did for bad to ourselves. That I could look back in my life and see things that I did. I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway, right? And or I meant to get back at somebody, and I know there are circumstances where I did things and God turned it into good. Like I'm actually benefiting from it now, right? So it's amazing. Like people can do bad things to us and it could turn out for good, but we could do bad things to ourselves and it could turn out for good as well, because God is just that good. You know what I mean? But I want to cover like some takeaways. I want to make sure we got some action. Did they wake you up? Did they wake you up, Stacy? Okay. Is Flower up?
You heard her bark and she's over there.
She's like, go ahead, Uncle Billy.
Well, because I was going to say, you got your meeting and Tim is up there directing traffic. So I said, maybe we should wrap this up.
He like, yeah, we got
stop,
go and get this purchase.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so just some takeaways, man. We talked about Tim mentioned a book, 3 Feet from Gold. I think you said it's a Napoleon Hill in the Napoleon Hill series. The History of Swear Words on Netflix. Check it out. Savers, which is an acronym for the morning routine, be silent, affirmations, visualization, exercise, read, and scribe. A couple of people to check out on YouTube, Miles Monroe and David Goggins. And then Stacy, you mentioned the book Boundaries. Which I've heard several people mention that book. But yeah, Boundaries, which is a great family book. It is.
It really
and
is.
we're today, man. I think we had a great conversation and really about mental health. So, yeah, we can wrap this baby up.
Wrap it on.
Hey, thank you to our sponsors. We got fedupgroup.com as a sponsor. Yes. We got BillMcCleskey.com. And we got AnastasiaMcCleskey.com. Is that right? We appreciate our sponsors for stepping in and taking notice of these important conversations. Hey, man, y'all have a great one. I will talk to y'all soon.
Talk to y'all soon. Love y'all. Peace and blessings.
Them Three Podcast is sponsored by Timothy McCleskey Jr.'s Fed Up Group, The Volcano Eruption of Debt, Anastasia McCleskey, Hello Beautiful Spirits, and Bill Lee McCleskey, Get Off Your Assets.